This week's episode of the Darkroom Podcast presents Unsolved Cold Cases. We'll be talking about the Setagaya Murders.
On December 30, 2000, 2000, one of the most one of the most infamous criminal cases in Japan's history has turned 20. A senseless murder of a family of four in Tokyo's neighborhood of Setagaya has caught both the Japanese and international public's attention, with countless amount of articles and podcast episodes dedicated to this tragedy. However, the passage of time, and in the case of international publications, the language barrier has muddled many details and blown some up. It is decided that you need to use language skills and write down a synopsis of the case as accurately and comprehensive as we could, basing it only on reputable Japanese sources. This means those familiar with this unsolved mystery may find some frequently shared information missing. It could be because some of them was simply missed, or they are false, or the Japanese police don't perceive them as important.
Ano to? Medyo sikat to sa sa murder true crime scene tong ano na to. Pero actually first time ko tong
Ako rin
narinig yung itong
Setagaya Murders.
Setagaya Murders na to. So I'm very looking forward kung ano yung ma-uncover. Actually hindi ko rin siya tinignan na kung kailan lang sinabi ni Rick na yun yung doon lang ako nagkaroon ng idea.
I think para siyang dito sa atin yung Visconde Massacre.
Isa pa yun, magandang din yun, magandang pwede nating i-topic dito sa natin.
So,
ano ba yan? Setagaya
Setagaya is a place in Tokyo.
Oh, is it separate?
Parang barangay. I think community doon.
Parang barangay ganun. Tama ba?
Ano ba tawag? Mga prefecture. Prefecture mas malaki.
Parang ata yung prefecture, parang
region
ganun.
Region na
I think there's a lot of prefectures.
Iba-iba yung
So, makikita natin yung kung ano yung tawag dito, kung gaano ka lala tong tong case na to na nga sa atin ni Rick.
Yes.
Yun.
When the Miyazaki family moved to Kami Shoshigaya Street in 1991 in Setagaya, the place was bustling with houses, with over 200 residential buildings scattered in the vicinity. The four of them, the father, an office worker, Miyazawa Mikio, age 44, his wife Yasuko, age 41, a home tutor, their daughter Ina, age 8, and son Ray, age 6, lived in a small cramped space.
So I think ito
yung mga
victims ng case. So may bata, may bata din, the whole family yung naging.
So medyo pasintabi po sa mga kumakain ngayon. Tsaka yung mga nakahiga dyan. Yung mga nakikinig lang. Naka-earphones.
Nakahiga at kumakain. Ano ba yun?
Oo nga, yung kumakain ng pansit ka doon nandito sa may dibdib mo.
Ay, baka yung dibdib yung kinakain.
Ay, oy.
Oh.
Parang naman, yung pinapakabang gumagawa sila nun, yun yung ito yung pinapakita.
Naman doon, ang weird naman nung nila, ng fetish nila.
Makikinig sila tapos kumakain siya ng dibdib tapos Tapos ito yung minano.
Anyway, yun yung trip
Baka
nyo eh.
yun yung trip mo.
Feel free. Wala, without any judgment.
Feel free. At least nakikinig ka. And at the back of their house was a part of the park where the little kids played called Choo Choo Train Park. At next ano siya parang
Sa neighborhood.
malapit sila sa medyo public place. Yun nga. Tsaka marami pang
So parang so medyo
Typical,
city pa rin 'ton, 'di ba?
typical.
Kasi maraming nakatira dun sa ano.
But soon Miyazawa started to lose more and more of their neighbors who sold their land to the city. Tokyo already had plans for this area to expand nearby Setagaya Park. By the time the year 2000 rolled by, there were only 4 houses left.
So from around 200.
100 tapos
200, diba?
Oo.
200 yung
I
neighbors.
think sa developmental ng Tokyo na binibili nila tapos nire-relocate nila yung mga
Alam mo ba, napaka-expensive ng cost of living sa Tokyo.
oo kasi
Ang mahal ng doon, like super mahal.
kaya nga nasa kanila yung
Yung pinapanood ako yun, Paolo from Tokyo na channel.
Sa TikTok?
Hindi, sa
YouTube.
Sa YouTube. Tapos yung mga niya, yung mga content niya, yung
How to live.
24-hour day with ganito, a chef, ganyan. Pero puro mga Japanese people.
Tapos kung how one person live in the
Tsaka yung mga apartment,
Japan.
ganun.
Di ba doon sila ba yung nagpauso ng yung mga bahay maliliit?
Maliliit lang eh.
yung
Usually
mga-
mahilig sila sa mga lalo na pag sa city na apartment lang talaga. Yung mga like maliliit lang talaga.
No, I mean yung parang higaan lang.
Yung parang mga capsule ganun.
Capsule, sa kanila ba
uso rin
yun?
sa kanila yun eh.
Yung-
Napaka-weird na. I mean, not in an offensive way. Pero napaka-weird ng siguro hindi lang tayo sanay sa culture nila din.
Oo. Kaya yun nga kasi sobrang taas ng cost of living na
Yeah.
hindi nila afford yung magkaroon ng
Tsaka sobrang liit ng
kanilang place talaga nila.
Tsaka, I mean, aside from dun, siguro dahil sa mostly parang sa city na yung nakatira. Kaya sobrang mahal. Alam mo ba, merong isang episode doon na sila, $200 per month. Tapos yun yung parang ilan ba yung $200 Philippine peso?
I think parang 10,000 pesos.
Tapos yun as in, grabe na yung tirahan na yun. Sira-sira, ganun, $200 yun.
$200 na yun.
$200 per month. So, napakataas talaga ng cost of living din. So,
Yung iba nga nakatira
but
sa
still, yun, isa yun sa mga bucket list. I mean, nasa top of my bucket list.
pumunta sa Japan.
Pumunta sa Japan.
May para
Given a chance, if you like, you will
meron pa nga yung nakita ko yung nakatira lang sa mga internet shop. Yung internet shop may closed space na
yun, totoo yun.
na nasa loob, parang may kwarto-kwarto tapos may computer dun sa loob. Tapos pwede mostly ng mga mga palagi
Saka may
computer.
mga
May mga sila, may mga pagkain na doon, parang gano'n.
pwedeng umorder.
Oo.
Parang ganun din naman dito sa atin. Pero like wala masyadong
Wala
cubicle talaga na sarili.
pwede kang matulog.
Doon ka natitira.
Doon sila tumitira.
Isa yun sa mga issues sa Japan kasi nga I think masyadong bumababa yung nila, yung number ng tawag dito. Yung number ng mga nakatira doon sobrang bumaba talaga. Because then also sa policy nila sa dito sa pag-aanak ganun. And also yung mga Japanese is napaka prone to tawag dito, depression. I think sila pa nga ata yung largest
May honor
highest I think if I'm not mistaken highest rate of
Suicide.
suicide sa buong mundo.
yun nga, nakita
To the
rin.
point pa
Oo.
na meron pang napaka-infamous doon.
Infamous yung island.
Hindi, ano yun?
Ano yun? Forest ba?
Forest doon.
I think, akala ko island. Forest yun na yung pinuntahan nila, nila Logan Paul.
Logan Paul. Yes, ano yan? Forest doon sa
Speaking of Logan Paul, I think
malapit
na yung nila. Malapit na yung bout nila ni
Mayweather.
Ano lang, cash grab lang talaga.
Well, napakalaki ng tawag dito. I think natalo ata ni sino ba ni Askren?
Si Ben Askren, round lang kay
si Jake Paul. Like, what the fuck? Though I have nothing against naman with those guys. Kasi kita mo naman yung mga katawan ng mga nila Jake Paul tsaka ni Logan Paul. Batak na batak sa sa kakatrain. Kasi halos every ilang month meron silang laban. Pero
mas successful si Jake Paul kaysa kay Logan kasi si Logan wala pang panalo eh.
Mas malaki yung pero mas malaki naman ata si Logan.
Pero yun rin yung
what do you think? Magpapaano ba? Smear ba niya
wala. Hindi kahit 40 plus years old na si Mayweather.
Magpapaano ba si Mayweather kay Jake Paul? Like
kay Logan.
Kay Logan, magpapasira ba niya yung
50
records niya?
Perfect record. Hindi yata.
I don't think so.
Parang cash grab lang talaga eh.
Well, actually we will never know until mangyano.
I think kung
nagsimula na yung laban na yan.
I think mas maganda yung laban ni Logan Paul kasi professional boxer talaga yung mga kalaban niya.
Yeah.
One of the greats. Tapos itong si Jake Paul, retired basketball player, retired MMA fighter. So,
pero Askren is not that naman.
First round, few seconds lang talaga siya.
Napanood ko yun. Like,
as in,
what? That dude is literally
parang natamaan lang siya tapos parang wala lang.
Pero medyo din naman.
Training ka ba?
Medyo naman yun. Medyo, I don't know. Di ko rin na-expect yung ganong outcome nung laban.
I think kung merong magano kay Jake Paul na professional talaga, walang patama to kahit retired.
Syempre, like yung tao dito, yung practice tsaka yung napakalayo ng experience. Unless yung kalaban niya matanda na talaga, pero kahit sabihin na natin if you have the skills talaga, nakakita mo ba yung laban niya ni last year ba yung laban nila Tyson tsaka last year ba yun?
Si Foreman, yung matatanda na.
Oo, si Tyson ba yun? I think it was Tyson.
Hindi ko na
nakita mo talaga, bubugbugin ka pa ni Tyson eh. Tyson Fury.
Parang cash grab na lang yung ginagawa.
Hindi, yun, natawag dito, for charity dahil dun sa corona, COVID. Charity yung laban na yun.
So, balik tayo kaya sa
tama na.
Setagaya. One of the remaining houses belonged to Yasuko's older sister, Anne yung pangalan, Ian lang. But for most of the time, it was occupied by the sister's mother. Anne and her son spent 8 years living in England and only got back to Setagaya in the spring of 2000. Her husband was an engineer at a big automobile company.
Honda.
Hindi, with some rumors claiming he worked with
Toyota.
a Formula 1 company.
Ooh.
And
Ferrari.
he was often working overseas. This nearly empty home was the place where Yasuko could tutor children. Dito sila.
Yun yung niya.
And then she didn't have a lot of distance to cover. The two buildings were so close they could be mistaken for a semi-detached house. This close proximity had Mikio feeling uneasy. He worried it could lead to family troubles in the future. He proposed soundproofing both places and Anne agreed. Kasi parang ano eh, na ano yata tong si Mickey, parang ayaw niyang binabakuran niya yung bahay nila. Para 'di ba dito sa atin parang ano
It's your girl.
close yung family.
It's your girl.
It's your girl. Hindi yung ano yung
Mihiya.
yung mahilig daw ayaw niya ng may family troubles na parang may ririnig mag-aaway tapos makikialam yung ibang pamilya, parang yun yung pinapoint out niya.
Ba't kayo nag-aaway dyan? Tangin na niya. Yung pinabugbog yung mga bata.
Ganun no, tapos
Lola eh.
tapos magagalit tapos mag-aaway ka. Yun yan. So I think this is one on bakit walang may nakarinig sa krimen. Both families, just like their neighbors, planned to eventually move away from Kamishoshigaya and had already sold off their land to the city. But Yasuko was hesitating. She worried about her children acclimating to a new place, especially since her youngest Ray had a development disorder. In the end, they never got to move. On the night of December 30th, the Miyazawa's family quiet life was cut short.
Dito na tayo.
So, ito. The more time passes, the less is certain about the murderer's action. According to the most widely accepted version, he enters Miyazawa's house through a small window on the second.
He enters so yung ano na to, yung killer.
Ito na yung
no?
killer,
From mga to dito versions kung ano yung nangyari
Oo.
sa time na yun. So, sige na, imagine nga natin. Masok siya sa bintana.
Sa second floor bathroom. So, pasok siya sa maliit na ano, parang yung ano lang, yung exhaust lang na bintana kon. Tapos, the perpetrator's first target is Ray's bedroom, located
Ray, the youngest,
the youngest, yes, located right next to the bathroom. He finds the youngest one sleeping and strangles him. Ray is the only victim killed by strangling and then the only one who doesn't have any stab wounds or any blood stains in his body. It is in his bedroom where police find the most footprints.
So hindi pa siya nakapag wipe ng sapatos niya. Kaya masyado nakita.
Nakita ka. Now dun may maraming ano. The next victim is thought to be the father, Mikio. Police assume that before the assault, he was on the first floor working. His body was found on the first floor, right next to the stairs. He has many wounds, mainly in the thighs and buttocks area. But stab wounds were also found in his both arms, chest, and face.
Maybe inaano niya.
Parang
Deflecting yung
deflecting, tapos natumba siya, then tinuyon yung puwet niya. na stinab ng killer yung puwet tsaka yung may dito sa parang natumba yata siya, nadapa siya tapos
inalito. Tapos yung puwet na yun
na
tinamaan
yun. Naigo sa amin, yes, natamaan.
Naigo ako sa'yo.
Oh.
Mali.
Mali. Hindi, wrong choice of His cause of death was ruled to be blood loss resulting from chest stab wounds. Police find a fragment of sashimi knife, the murder weapon in his skull, a fragment of sashimi knife. Parang
na-damage yung knife.
Na-damage yung knife na yung murder weapon.
While using against him.
Siyempre naman, skull yung ulo mo yung ano. So, I think clashing with the bone is would cause damage sa knife. Yung sashimi, yung pang-fillet, di ba? Yun ba yun? Hindi ako nakakapanood ng mga sushi. Okay. The last victims are the mother Yasuko and daughter Nina, who were sleeping together in the attic. Accessible by by a foldable ladder located on the second floor, close to the bathroom. They are stabbed. They are stabbed multiple times, mainly in the face and neck area. First with a broken sashimi knife, and then an all-purpose kitchen knife he must have gotten from Miyazawa's house. It might be during the time perpetrator took to grab a knife, Yasuko decided to run with Nina. Bleeding heavily, she took Nina in her arms and carried her down the stairs. The criminal must have noticed them and delivered the final blow. Both bodies were found crouched with their backs touching. So, ano mo, ma-imagine nyo.
Still fighting for their lives. Trinay pa niya talagang i-save yung anak niya. But
Nakatakas kasi.
by the ano pa lang, the description or the way it was described, napaka pinag
Very gruesome.
yung nila, yung nangyari sa kanila, but still parang na lang yun parang instinct mo na lang na
Grab and run. Hindi na sila. Nina died last. Her cause of death was determined to be cervical spinal cord injury caused by a backstab wound dito sa likod. Tapos na-injury yung spinal cord niya. Additionally, her first and third tooth was found missing, which suggests she was not only stabbed but also beaten. Police have found bloodstains on the futon, which suggests they were attacked while sleeping. A bloody tissue was lying on the attic floor, presumably used by Yasuko to stop Nina's bleeding.
Naman yung na yun, napakagrabe naman ang nangyayari.
Natutulog lang sila. Tapos, grabe yung
Sino kaya yung kayang gumawa ng ganong klaseng
pumasok.
crime na like do that napakabata ng
Mga
pero walang pinipiling edad yung mga ganyan like lalo na pag talaga nasa
state sila ng euphoric na killing.
siguro na iba yung nafe-feel nila nun
And I think parang yata no witnesses behind. Kasi
Don't leave.
sila. And then after killing the family, the perpetrator went to the Miyazawa's kitchen area. He took out a few small cups of ice cream from the fridge. Strangely, he didn't use a spoon. Instead, he squeezed the containers upwards and proceeded to bite the ice cream.
So alam niyo magli-leave siya ng DNA or kahit pag gumamit siya ng spoon. So, medyo calculated move.
Alam niya yung mga gagawin ng
calculated.
May calculator. And then for a drink, he chose barley tea, ignoring cola and beer left in the fridge.
So ito isa to sa tawag dito napaka-strange na nangyari sa case na to, di ba?
Oo, kasi
yung mga ginawa niya after nung crime.
Doon pa yung naging somewhat
mas nakakatakot yung ganun, di ba? Like
parang
wala lang. If ka talaga, if you're not that cold-blooded na tao or what, syempre after mo gumawa ng crime, sometimes kasi if you're in the verge of doing things like yung mga ganyan, syempre wala kang wala ka sa mental state mo. O I mean yung normal na mental state.
Kumbaga, parang nagdilim lang yung
until umabot sa point na maging ma-realize mo na nangyari na.
Parang nagdilim daw
parang gano'n. Yung ba na, if yung yung parang tawag dito, yung intention mo is from rage lang or what, galit mo dun sa isang tao, ganyan nangyari. So technically parang hindi mo talaga yun
ginusto.
ginusto or what, para tama ba yung term?
Parang bugso lang ng
Bugso ng damdamin. Pero pag ganitong klaseng mga instances, makikita mo talaga how cold-blooded yung mga tao, or how wala talaga silang regard sa life. Kasi nakuha pa niyang kumain eh.
kumain. Tapos, yung nagtsaa pa siya.
Siyempre nag-init pa ng tubig yun.
Oo, nag-iinit yun ng tubig, tapos mag-aantay ka pa.
Baka may heater naman sila.
Baka may
sila,
heat. I think may
thermos,
heat,
ganun.
may thermos. Tapos, yung kailangan mo pang haluin yun eh. Hindi in-ignore niya yung soft drinks tsaka yung beer.
Siyempre may
Parang sophisticated to. Kasi nagtsatsa. Sino bang brusko yung nakikita mong nagtsatsa?
Si baka wala, trip na lang. English, ganun.
Yun nga. Then, the kitchen was also where he had found a band-aid which he used to try patch a wound in his right hand. I think
So meron din siyang
na sugatan yata siya sa pagpumiglas ng mga victims. At one point, he rummaged through the family's documents from the first floor storage. He pulled out all the drawers and took one of them to the second floor bathroom. He dumped them into the bathtub. Yasuko's personal belongings, from her 2 handbags, Mikiyo's wallet, house keys, and various documents, met a similar fate. The perpetrator threw them into the toilet where he previously took care of his business. Other items like a white towel smeared with the perpetrator's blood and an empty cup of ice cream were also dumped in.
Para yung tawag dito, yung evidence na trail niya, if ever meron. Sinira niya
yung tsaka itong yung may white towel na merong dugo niya is I think contaminated, so hindi ito nagamit. What we know for sure is the criminal was still at Miyazawa's house at 1 a.m. At 1:18 a.m. he 1 a.m. kasi at 1:18 he connected to the internet using Mikiyo's computer. Nakilagin pa.
Lagi-lagin, baka
Nag-check muna to ng mga emails.
Baka nag-post.
Niya. Merong nag-post siya na tingnan niyo yung done killing. See you later. During 5 minutes of usage, he created a new folder and visited at Yetter's website. The site was bookmarked by Mikiyo. We didn't know about the files inside the folder. Parang di niya yata tinapos yung gagawin. For years, the public was meant to believe that the perpetrator escaped in the morning due to the computers connecting to the internet for a second time around 10 a.m. But it wasn't until 2004 when the police published a bombshell. The second connection was most likely an incident.
Ano yan?
Ito. The computer mouse was found by the police had fallen under the table and connected to Mikiyo's company website, which was set as Mikiyo's homepage. The Japanese police have run an experiment using the exact type of Macintosh computer the Miyazawa family had used. They concluded that the most probable outcome was Yasuko's mother dropping a mouse by accident when she found the bodies and therefore connecting to the internet. So parang nagalaw lang yung mouse, tapos nasabi nagamit yung computer. Hindi ko alam. So dahil parang nagalaw lang, tapos na-open yung homepage. Shady pa.
Napaka-shady naman ng Napaka-shady naman ng yan na tawag dito na
nahulog kasi. Nahulog daw. Hindi ko alam. Medyo shady daw.
How in the hell pupulutin nung nanay yung mouse muna before makita yung
Ito na. Yeah. This information complicated an already difficult case. The previous theory didn't leave a lot of time for the culprit. Yasuko's mother came to her daughter's house after 10 a.m. to check on them. One of the Miyazawa's family relative called the police at 10:56 a.m. This means if it were really the murderer accessing the internet, he would have little to no time to escape. With this theory being proven untrue, the perpetrator could have escaped anytime between 1:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. So, then the other troubling point, yun nga. So sabi doon na nagalaw daw kasi nag-post yung nanay niya. Oy, tulong.
Napaka-shady naman ng napaka-shady.
Kasi nag-experiments pa sila. Chinek nila kung
pwede bang
ma-open yung parang ginagalaw. I think naka-close lang siya. Parang naka-log off lang, tapos pag ginalaw mo yung yung naka-screensaver lang, parang gano'n. Tapos pag ginalaw mo yung yung mouse,
magkakaroon ng activity doon.
Magkakaroon ng activity. I think yun yung na-check doon na-log nila na nakita na parang gano'n. Kasi around 10 a.m. nakita na connect. Baka nagalaw ng na parang nagulat yung
baka nasa harap yung yung computers.
Parang na lang yun na nagalaw lang.
But still shady.
Shady pa rin eh. Then the other trouble.
Baka yung nanay yung killer.
Uy. Ay, parang meron ba tayong yung own theory natin?
Wala lang.
Baka ba?
Napaka plausible din nun eh. Kasi siya yung unang nandun.
So dapat siya yung
A rule of sa mga ganyang bagay. At sa pagkakaalam ko, like I'm not any sort of tawag dito, expert. Pero I think kung sino yung nandun, siya sa mga automatic na suspect doon. Kasi
sa unang mga
automatic yun.
Siya yung
unang
unang nakita, suspect ka.
Napaka-sus.
Sus, bro. The other troubling point is the criminal's point of entry. Did he really use the small bathroom window? One of the investigator in an interview with an news source revealed that the police had some doubts about this. He himself found the perp's pristine state of clothes to be downright bizarre. His jacket and fanny pack bore no signs of abrasion or wear, and no linen or fiber was left on the window.
So does that mean iniwan niya yung gamit niya doon?
Meron siyang mga iniwan.
Iniwan niya yung damit niya, yung jacket na gano'n. Long sleeves.
Meron mamaya. Yun nga kasi
baka lang sila, mini-mislead lang.
Tinotaunt lang sila.
Mini-mislead talaga sila ng nung nanay.
Uy, para nag-iwan lang ng mga
gamit. Iwan lang yung mga gamit doon para tawag dito. Akalain nila na iba yung
or baka nagpalit lang ng damit, no? Kasi meron pa tayo mamaya na
very unlikely naman nun, unless siguro puno ng dugo yung damit.
Oo.
Puno ba lang yung damit? Wala naman siya napaka-pristine ng damit, wala ngang scratch mark dun sa pag-akyat,
walang may naiwan or kasi maliit lang
mismo. Yung imagine mo kung ikaw yung killer, hindi ka mag-iiwan ng anything that may lead sa sa pagkakahuli mo, kasi for sure in tawag dito, may mga chances na makapag-iwan ka ng anything na pwedeng gamitin for your DNA, like buhok, ganun. Magkano ka pa ba? Magpapalit ka pa ng damit for lang, diba?
Yun nga, medyo shady talaga.
Napaka-shady. Doon ako sa lola.
Okay. And then,
I'm saucing the lola.
sauce. And then, another theory. The only other way in was the front entrance. The problem is that this door was locked. For this theory to be plausible, ito na, parang may magbibigay ng substantial sa mga theory mo.
Habang tumatagal tayo sa ating nagiging yung detective skills natin.
Magiging tayo, meron tayong mga critical thinking. For this theory to be plausible, the murderer would have be an acquaintance of the family, the kind who would be let in even in the late evening. The supporters of this theory
Preach.
The supporters of this theory have pointed out that the footprints left in blood were only going upwards, starting from the middle of the first floor stairs.
Diba? Na-mention nila galing sa taas. Galing dun yung yung perpetrator
Dapat
bumaba. So, ibig sabihin, dapat dun, hindi. Kasi nga, yung wala siyang hindi niya sinaksak yung bata Dina-strangulate niya lang. So, wala talagang blood, papat. So, ibig sabihin, umakyat pa siya ulit sa taas. Doing his thing.
Papunta sa, I think, yung yung...
Kasi diba nasa second floor yung yung...
Papunta siya sa taas.
Bumaba siya.
So, galing
siya sa taas, bumaba para patayin yung yung family. Nasa baba ata yung family, di ba?
Hindi, yung family nasa second floor.
Yung bata, yung pinakauna sa baba.
Nasa first floor. Yung tatay yung nasa baba. Tapos, bumaba.
Hindi, nasa baba yung yung nasa taas yung bata.
Nasa taas nga, sa second floor. 2 floors lang kasi yung bahay nila.
At saka yung the attic, di ba? So,
Yung
ibig sabihin, nasa taas yung bata, yung unang pinatay, di ba?
Sa second floor.
Second floor. So, bumaba siya, pinatay niya
yung
so,
tatay.
Tama.
Tapos,
yung sequence ng
umakyat na naman siya para sa magnanay.
So, tama.
So, pataas. So,
or nandun sa loob yung pumatay.
Pumasok.
Ooh.
Or baka nauna lang talaga yung mamatay.
Or nandun talaga yung pumatay. She was all there. It was her all along.
If the criminal wasn't an intruder, but truly someone who was invited in, he or she would have...
Si Dracula.
Nakapasok
kasi
siya.
Kasi pinasok kasi in-invite siya
He would have expected...
Dracula.
He would have been expected to remove his shoes at home's entrance.
Kasi nga yung yung parang
meron sila
tawag doon, nakalimutan.
Natanggal nila yung sapatos nila doon.
Nakalimutan ko yung area na yun.
Bloody footprints could be explained.
Bloody
footprints could be
bloody you.
Yeah. Bloody, hindi yung mga English yun bloody hell.
Mga Indian na nasa
Tapos,
bloody you. Yung nag-road rage.
Hindi ko na
Hey bloody. Hindi ko pa nakita yun. Okay.
Meron mga reference hindi ko pa na ano sa aking buhay.
Hindi ko pa na yun. I-share nyo nga.
I-ano nyo nga sa comments. And bloody footprints could Okay, hello?
Charger.
Okay, meron tayong technical difficulties dito. Ay, kalawa na to hindi na maganda.
Alam niyo ba, napaka something ng episode na to. should we tell them?
Mamaya na.
Ngayon na, ganito na natin.
Ay, ganda siya.
Napaka something ng episode na to kasi nga magsa-start pa lang kami. Meron tayong dito
Meron tayong may wagang
script. So yung script namin nasa isang place lang.
Tapos,
Tapos,
dalawa yan
dalawa.
We
Kasi,
print,
kita nyo naman Kita nyo naman, wala akong script dito, di ba? So, nagprint nga si Rick ng dalawang copies nung script namin. Tapos,
Kumain muna tayo.
kumain muna kami. Tapos yung script ngayon is missing na. Hindi namin alam kung
Nilagay lang namin sa
nasa isang place lang, is magkasama lang talaga sila.
And then, nung ready na kami,
Nawawala yung isa.
na-delay muna kami kasi
Hinahanap namin yun. Tapos yung isa naman, yung ngayon,
Ito na
na-unplug yung mixer natin.
yung ano.
Tapos, tilinala ko kanina si Rick na baka pagising mo, baka may something dito sa case na to, na hindi na dapat natin to kina-cover.
Oo.
So sabi ko sa kanya, baka pagising mo mamaya, kasi mag-isa lang siya dito duty ako mamaya. Sabi ko sa kanya, baka pagising mo nandyan na yung script sa tabi mo.
Tapos yung isa
Tapos yung isa nakakalat somewhere, nandito lang. Tapos may mga dugo-dugo.
Parang nag-start na tayo sa mga parang you don't deal with someone you can't you can't handle.
Yun lang, wala na. Tinatakot ko lang si Rick. Nandiyan na.
Ano ba yan? Okay. Bloody footprints could be explained by blood making the stairs slippery, forcing him to wear shoes once again. So medyo shady talaga yung Tsaka medyo hindi siya consistent. Tsaka maraming clues na nabibigay pero hindi nagagamit as evidence.
Parang lang, mislead lang ganun.
Merong mga misleading evidence, something. One way or the other, he must have used the window.
Or she.
Or she. Police noted that the bathroom window was open, but the mosquito screen removed and lying outside. Additionally, under the window, they found footprints of a size similar to the perpetrator's one. Broken tree branches near the park's fence are assumed to be his work as well. It's either the exit or the entry. So, ginamit niya pa rin yung window. Due to the unprecedented nature of the murder from the very beginning, a large group of policemen was involved. To this day, almost 280,000 of them tried to help solve the case. At first, investigators were hopeful. The perpetrator left fingerprints, footprints, and even a blood-stained towel, which showed he has an A blood type. Their expectations were quickly shattered. Over 5 million people had their fingerprints checked. Neighbors, all kinds of criminals, family friends, ex-residents, hospital patients with wounds on their hands. Police tried also DNA testing with almost 1,300,000 tries. None of them have had much. Sobrang extensive talaga yung yung
paghahanap,
investigation. Nila. Tapos, I think ito medyo modern na to. So di kagaya dito sa Pilipinas yung kay Nida Blanca. Ito mas advanced yung forensic science.
Yung kay Nida Blanca or until now. Parang until now din naman
Oo. Yung level ng investigation dito sa Japan is more sophisticated na. Ito nakagamit na sila ng DNA testing tapos.
Or baka lang talaga. Wala sa database nila.
Wala, hindi nasali. And researchers did find an intriguing piece of information. In 2005, they announced the perpetrator most likely having a Southern Europe roots from his mother's side. Na parang dahil sa mga meron silang parang nakita nila yung kung saan galing yung nanay ng perpetrator, hindi yung perpetrator mismo.
Alam mo ba yung
23 something. Yung parang genealogy.
Yung genealogy. Na nakikita kung saan galing yung
Yung blood race.
yung DNA. DNA.
Oh.
Malay mo na-invent na yun sa time na yun.
Or parang yung ano pa lang yung mga gumagamit, hindi pa yung yung parang ginagamit for public consumption, no? Parang I think ginagamit pa lang yung DNA doon po. Sa mga pa lang, sa mga ganitong
forensic din.
They concluded that
para sa mga Chinese.
They concluded that either his mother, the mother of the perpetrator, or one of his grandparents came from a country close to Adriatic Sea. His father, on the other hand, was East Asian, so he could be Japanese but also Korean or Chinese.
Oh.
So, parang meron silang hinahanap.
Meron silang gustong ipahiwatig.
Pero kasi naman, parang I think Japanese lang talaga yung parang native, local lang yata yung person na to.
Maybe kasi naman napaka-obvious siguro, or maybe kasi late na or ganun, kasi nga or dahil dun sa area, since wala na masyado nakatira dun, kaya hindi masyado anyone could be the
yun nga,
killer naman pero siguro mas malaki yung chance na Japanese siya or what, local or what. Pero well, actually hindi na natin masasabi
kasi
oh shit.
Nahulog yung namin, yung kortina namin, pero I think sa lang yun, stability lang, hindi mo dun sa may foam ko
Sige.
The Japanese police had asked the South Korea for help with identifying the culprit. It was the first request of this kind, but it was ultimately refused by the South Korean government.
No, we're not friends, bitches.
Ayaw na tumulong. I think naman
may mga bad blood pa sila like
parang ma-pride pa yata yung mga South Korea dito Tsaka ayaw namin makidamay diyan, meron pa kami mga problema sa amin, so hindi sila tumulong. Tas I think bakit yung Japanese police lang yung tinanong lang nila yung mga South Koreans, hindi sila nagdano ng mga Chinese. Dahil ba sobrang dami ng Chinese na
mas maliit yung chances nila doon. Sabi nila, huwag na tayo doon, tayo na. Mas maliit nga dito sa atin, hindi natin makita doon pa kaya sa kanila. Ilang times yung natin, yung population.
At ayun nga. Based on the physical strength needed to climb a fence and access the second floor window, the police put the culprit in the age 15 to 35 age bracket, with his height reaching around 5'7" or 170 centimeters, and the hair strands found in his fanny pack, nag-iwan siya ng fanny pack dito mamaya, and then suggest he had a dark brown or black short hair. Some speculate that the
Sabi buhok na yun.
Pero yung fanny pack nandito sa sa my waist.
Mas malapit dun
sa isang patch ng hair sa baba. Some speculate that the intruder has an army background due to his walk style. Small step taken with a back planted to a wall. So naka-stand straight talaga yung niya. According to one of the investigators, he could have walked like this to avoid slipping from the bloodied stairs. So parang nagko-contradict. So ito ba naman 280,000, hindi sila parang I think 280,000
sometimes kasi
polices.
If you're overthinking yung mga ganyan like nasa harap mo na yung
answer,
yung mga sagot, pero like gusto mong patunayan na
baka hindi ganyan.
Nasa harap nyo na yung nanay yung pumatay.
Hindi nyo pa matanggap.
joke lang.
The perpetrator's belonging. Marami pa nang makikilala mo yung killer dahil sa mga ginagawa niya. On how ano siya. On how clean yung mga ginagawa niya, on how paano siya mag-iwan ng evidence. Oo. Ano pa yung ginagawa niya after ng crime. Ito, mapapansin nyo, after niya mag-kill, kumain siya. And then,
malay mo, huwag ka naman masyadong judgy. Siyempre, nakakapagod pumatay. Like, dude, that's very, very,
you need, force of will to do something.
Nakakapagod yun. Like, 4 ba naman yung patayin mo? Siyempre, kahit pa paano, magugutom ka. So,
kakain.
Kain ka muna.
And then, ito nga, tapos, the murderer left a lot, if not his whole outfit, behind. After niyang gumawa ng...
Diyan ako masyado, medyo shady yung part na yan.
Bakit nag-iwan siya ng mga...
Ba't siya mag-iiwan ng ganun kadaming evidence that might lead to his
downfall?
Oo. Ba't ka mag-iiwan ng mga ganun? If siya, for a person na gagawa ng ganyan, sabi pa nga nila he could be have an military background, ganyan. No one will ever think na mag-iwan ng mga bagay. Di ba?
Medyo messy siya. Hindi siya. Then he left those in the Miyazawa's living room on their sofa. In international circles, the most attention has fallen in this fanny pack, where the police have found traces of sand, supposedly originating in southwest of America. Curiosity enough, while some Japanese newspaper did mention this finding, there is no information about it on Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department's website. I think nadagdag lang yata. Baka siya, umaalis-alis siya. Traveler.
Namulot siya ng mga
at least
ng mga kabibe, tapos sila
sobrang
nahulog yung mga doon,
mga sand,
grain of sand, tapos iwan ko to dito, nakuha ko to sa hindi ko dadalhin ko nga to, ganun. Iwan ko na tong bag ko.
Very extensive talaga yung information na nakukuha nila. Kasi nalalaman nila kahit grain of sand, nalalaman nila kung saan galing. Pero hindi nila nahanap yun. Parang lang sila.
Nice.
Nagbibigay lang sila ng information. Ito. Pero walang may nagbibigay ng parang kailangan lang nilang mag-inform ng The murderer's fanny bag was a well-used one. It was relatively small, fitting an A5 notebook, and was sold in Japan in September 1995 to January 1999. The bag cost just under $30 and was produced in Korea. In blacklight tests, some traces of red fluorescent agent were found, as well as the perpetrator's dark hair strands. The muffler is the item most difficult to pinpoint. It is unknown to who produced it and where it was sold. According to information police had received, the scarf was given away as a freebie at places like game centers, arcades, uniform stores. Similar to the bag, the muffler was also well used. The muffler, I think yung dito.
Scarf.
Scarf ba yan?
Scarf.
Scarf yun. Kala ko yung muffler yung dito. Ito yung pala. Scarf. Scarf. I
don't know.
Western
Ayun, naisip kong muffler yun. Yung tambucho
yung yung nagawa ganyan.
Yung tambucho naisip ko. Anong muffler ba yan?
Yung nasa likod.
Sinira niya yung sasakyan niya. Iniwan niya yung tambucho niya.
Naiwan yung
Ay, sorry. Naiwan yung tambucho. Putang ina naman yun.
Pero talaga.
Dre, naman yan, Dre? Excuse us for our ignorance. Hindi namin alam
yung mufflers.
Yung muffler na yun.
Wala yan dito. Wala kaming
muffler
snow.
sa amin, tambucho lang. Sorry naman.
Yung pa inuhuli dito.
Sorry naman.
Western onlookers focused on the bag for the Japanese public. Uh, but for the Japanese public, the shoes were the most interesting element. British brand Slazengers pala yun. Slazengers yung brand ng shoe. Iniwan pati yung sapatos. Ba't iniwan niyo yung sapatos?
Baka may mas magandang sapatos doon. Nakakita
ginawa
siya ng ng Jordan 1s.
Ni Mickey.
Nung father, yung tatay. Uy, tangin na, look, what are those? Sabi ng tatay, what are those? Tapos, pinatay niya. Pinuha niya yung Jordan 1.
And then, yun nga, the British brands Slazengers had produced this particular model in South Korea. It was sold in both South Korea and Japan, but only South Korea sold the shoe in size matching the perpetrator's footprints.
Oh.
This is the second item originating from South Korea. Baka lang siya, nag-online shop lang siya.
Oh, what if bumili siya sa
Sa TV, di
Sa
ba?
Lazada. Sa Lazada yan. 5-5.
Sa Shopee,
Pwede na bumili sa online, di ba?
Oh. The shoes weren't only the only suspicious item left by the perp. His nondescript thin sweatshirt has also caused quite a stir. In Tokyo, only 10 of them were sold in now closed stores of MX. Even if we count the whole country, the number shops at merely 130 articles sold. So yung damit is lang.
Local
lang. Tapos konti lang yung gumawa. So konti lang talaga yung bumili. O konti lang yung may-ari.
Parang may isang may napanood. Yung don't fuck with cats. Di parang ganun yun. Yung
ito yung mga ginagawa nila, yung parang nire-research yung kada
yung mga items.
Item mo.
Yung dito, yung
parang
ginamit.
Yun rin yung nakita ko dito eh.
Yung ginamit na yung dito, yung
vacuum
cleaner na
yung
sa picture.
yung tunog lang, pati yung tunog
hindi, yung picture yun eh.
Ay,
picture yung nakita
Russian pala yun yung
picture yung nakita nila dun sa vacuum. Kasi nung first na nagpicture siya ng pusa, nakita dun nakita
yung vacuum
cleaner tapos sinesearch ng mga ng mga keyboard warriors natin diyan.
Tapos nakita nila na
gawa to sa at gawa pa yung sa ibang bansa eh. Tapos parang in-import sa Amerika.
Pero
tapos
sinabi
isa lang yung nakita talaga yung kung saan binili ganyan. So nagkaroon sila ng idea saan.
Kung nasaan yung
Kung saan yung bumili or taga saan. Actually wala, it led them to din naman to nothing. Kasi wala din silang napala doon. Kahit nga yung tawag doon yung carpet ata, carpet ba yun or 'di ba hinahanap din nila yung carpet tapos wala rin
galing. Yung t-shirt, yung mga wolf.
Oo, yun
yung wolf.
T-shirt ba yun?
I think parang
carpet ata yun eh.
Basta may wolf
nakita din nila yun. Maganda yun, don't fuck with cats.
Watch nyo sa Netflix.
And watch us already also.
Sa YouTube, Spotify, at saka Anchor. And Apple Podcast.
Exclusive on
The rest of the outfit was composed of a gray knitted bucket hat, a black padded jacket from Uniqlo. I think full
Uniqlo, yan, di ba? Korean brand yan, di ba?
And a black one-size gloves. The hat was sold from September 1999 to November 2000. The jacket in size large was a 2000 release, available in stores since September
nationwide.
2000. Gloves were produced medyo mahaba. 2 pages pa. Some of the clothes retrieved by the police smelled like Dracar Noir, a French perfume sold in Japan since 1980.
Dracaris.
The last items were given a lot of...
Dracorian, Dracorian devils.
Saan yun?
Da Vinci Code.
I need.
Yung nakapalibot dun sa sa
Hindi ka ba
Louvre.
nawanan ng
Hindi ko na pa yung Da Vinci Code o Dracorian something.
sa
Yung nakapalibot dun
sa
sa
Da Vinci Code
sa
or
Da Vinci
sa
Code, yung pinakauna.
hindi ko na naalala.
Wala lang.
The last
pinanood ko.
items were given a lot of attention by the
Ang daming
Japanese
reference
police.
eh.
Kahit ano lang.
Ano na lang maisip eh.
Were two black handkerchiefs manufactured by the Japanese
Novo.
brand Muji.
Akala ko Novo.
One of them was most likely
Bench.
used by the criminal to wrap up the murder
Pen shop.
when murder's weapon handle. It had a 3 centimeters long para hindi mag-slipper, hindi pumasok yung pusa o hindi magkalat sa handle yung
blood.
According to the
dance floor.
to the Tokyo police informers, this
Anong
technique
kanta
is
yun?
used by
Chai.
wala, hindi ko alam. Ang daming reference mo, hindi ko na use baka sa mga nakikinig sa atin. Si Sir Kenneth. Hi Sir Kenneth.
Ka rin yung
Is used by Chinese workers at a fish factory. This prevents the knife from slipping when cleaning seafood.
baka ano siya. Baka nagtatrabaho siya doon.
Sa mga isda, no?
He's good with
Kasi mayroon
knives.
siyang sashimi knife.
Oo. Butcher's knife. Ay, hindi. Sashimi lang pala.
Police had a lot of evidence but one thing they lacked was witnesses.
Napakadami ng pwede nilang gamiting evidence tapos wala silang naging
Wala silang may nakuha.
wala silang na
Ang daming sinabing details sa
Oo,
evidence.
tapos wala man lang silang napala
I
kahit.
think parang pride yan kasi kailangan detailed. Sasabihin nila na ito ganito, ganyan. Pero yung kulang nila is witnesses. Kasi walang may I think para na siyang rural part ng Tokyo. Kasi yun nga,
Outskirts ganun.
yun nga yung sabi, mostly apat na lang yung bahay na malapit dun sa kanila. And then they had just only 2 supposed sightings. The first one came from a woman who claimed she was near the crime scene driving a car sometime after 11:30 p.m. Suddenly, she spotted a man who rushed out of the Miyazawa's house neighborhood and jumped before her car. He managed to evade her vehicle and run away. This information was dismissed by the police since they didn't find any signs of blood on the street. Then the other sighting happened the day after the murder. In Nikko, a man with a wound on his arm was spotted at Tobo Nikko Station, around 2 to 3 hours away from Setagaya. He received treatment from a station worker. Once again, the police didn't find the information helpful. His wound, so deep you could see a bone, didn't fit with the police image of the perpetrator's state. So, naghanap lang sila ng may mga sugat sa kamay tsaka sa braso. Wala lang, parang hinanap nila, bakit ka merong sugat?
Kailan mo pa nakuha yung sugat na yan? Uy, sugutin mo kami.
Or baka baka nanlaban talaga yung tatay tsaka yung mga victims. So, kaya ganyan.
Ba't may sugat ka? Kita nyo.
The whereabouts of the intruder are therefore unknown. What we have is an image of him before the murder. He was spotted by a supermarket camera near Kichiyoji Station's northern exit. It is 2 stations away from Ojikobo. This is where the murder weapon was purchased. So alam nila saan galing yung murder weapon. At eto na naman, naman sila ng evidence pero walang
Hindi substantial.
Then motives. The police have created 3 possible motives: money, grudge, or one is unknown to the authorities. The money theory tends to bring a lot of skeptics out. It's no wonder that the suspect stole only 150,000 yen, around $1,500, from Miyazawa's house. Many doubt somebody would kill an entire family for such a negligible amount. I think
Eh,
kulang,
baka walang pera doon.
maliit lang yata
Baka
yun.
wala silang pera dun sa bahay. Like, anong gagawin mo?
Kuha ka na lang ng
Ano na ibang ano dun, mga...
para hindi ka ma-zero.
Ah,
And yet,
may pera ba dyan? Marami ba kami pera dito?
ay pinatay ko
Ah,
lang.
wala na. Konti lang to sir. Okay na yan. Nangina mo.
Parang hindi lang ako mahuli. And yet, these cases do happen. In 2009 in city, a Chinese exchange student killed 2 people and injured 1. All he stole was a cheap watch and an equivalent of $2,000, which he intended to use to pay off his shoplifting fine. Parang example lang na anyone could get.
Hindi yung money yung main reason always sa sa pag-commit ng crime.
Yes. And there are a couple of downsides to this theory about the money. First of all, for someone who wasn't in the hurry, he didn't take all the money. He has left around 190,000 yen and foreign currency totaling to 5,000 yen. The method of killing was also very excessive. If it was a random kill, why would he kill Yasuko and Nina, who were sleeping in the attic, and be vicious in his attacks? Kung gusto niya lang magnakaw, hindi na niya papatayin yung sa attic, kasi hindi naman makikita hindi naman siya makikita kung
so iba yung iba talaga yung motive
niya.
Or maybe alam niya talaga yung alam niya yung lahat ng tao doon, so maybe inisip niya baka may nakakita sa kanya.
Parang
pwede, di ba? Like sabi, tangina, may anak pa tong isa, may asawa pa to, so baka alam niya, baka malaman nila kung sino yung pumatay. Baka yung nanay talaga to
sasabihin ko lang yun.
Baka yung nanay talaga to kasi tawag dito, ano ba yun? I lose my train of thoughts.
May insurance naman to yan.
Hindi, yung tawag dito. Yung nanay talaga yung pumatay. Tapos pinalabas niya na lang na merong ibang tao doon.
Tapos may nagnakaw daw na tapos parang
ganun. Kasi hindi naman mapuprove na nandun siya sa bahay na yun before nung murder. Doon pa rin ako sa nanay. I'm not changing my
Okay. What makes the theory even more plausible is that out of the 10 items, 10 yung iniwan niya. So, full outfit talaga. Left by the intruder, 5 could have been bought around Ojikobo Station. Police think that he may lived on the west side of Tokyo and moved by JR Chu line and Kelo line, which puts him not far away from Shoshigaya Park. However, there are people who doubt this theory. Some investigators suspected that the intruder throwing away his stuff and destroying things could be camouflage and part of an elaborate plan to take the police off his tracks.
Diba? Yung sinasabi ko, the big brain moment.
Big brain.
Na ano lang yun, pang throw off lang yun sa mga sa mga police.
Na pwede pala, meron palang mga clues doon na nawala dahil sa mga ginawa niya.
Kasi syempre mau-overlook nila ba't iniwan to? Ba't ganito, ganyan?
Yun yung focusan.
Doon pa rin ako sa nanay.
The strangest of this murder leaves a lot of place for imagination. In reality, the murder could have an entirely different motivation. On the international sites, one of the most popular opinions is skaters' involvement. After all, Miyazawas were living just next to the park. The noisy surroundings may have led to some conflicts. The murderer being a skater was the Japanese police first theory. So merong parang
meron silang ibang suspect.
Yung mga skaters,
mga skater boys
sa park,
mga delinquents.
The internet provides many testimonies claiming Mikio was often arguing with skaters who were using benches in Chuchu Train Park as a ramp. As it was mentioned before, the criminal could have lived somewhere near Ojikobo, a place close to Shoshigaya's park. It's possible he came in contact with the Miyazawa before the murder took place. On the other side, some point that the Slazengers would make an unusual pair of shoes for skateboarding.
Oo nga,
Kasi Vans yung number one ng mga
DC.
DC tsaka DC. Di ba yung DC nasa Vans? Iba ba?
Iba ka na.
DC tsaka, okay. Pero yung design nila parang pareho lang, di ba? Parang flat.
Yeah, pangalan pa talaga.
For skating talaga. On the other side,
Mga sneakers.
sneakers. On the other side, some point out that yun nga. Plus, yun nga, and the Slazengers would make an unusual pair of shoes for skateboarding. Plus, them being the first target mean they were presumably given a lot of attention. Their fingerprints were most likely checked as well. So, chinek, hindi nakita. In Japan, due items left by the perpetrator and the tendency to assume every criminal is a foreigner. Ito na. The popular theory that the murderer is being a Korean citizen. The more sensational tale written by a journalist, Ichisashi Fumiya. Fumiya yung sumikat dito sa PBB. Tells that the story of Miyazawa being involved with the Korean Unification Church. Since they didn't want to sell off their land to church, they got murdered by an assassin.
Assassin's Creed.
Other guesses revolve around the murderer being mentally ill or robbery gone wrong. I think parang yun yung most plausible, parang
Doon pa rin ako sa nanay. Nasa last page na po tayo pero I'm not
hindi ka pa sa atin,
nandun pa rin ako sa
doon ka pa rin sa nanay.
Inside job or maybe inside job. Not the nanay but the inside job.
Pinapasok lang.
Maybe the nanay.
When everything goes wrong and the case goes cold, there is one flicker of hope: science. A research institute in Shizuoka is currently working on establishing a more detailed look on the perp. Based on a DNA left on the crime scene, according to a scientist working on the case, there's a possibility of figuring out if the perpetrator had any illness, what is his skin color, and even details of about his facial features. Could this mean we will finally get an answer on who the culprit is? The police remain skeptical. Contrary to the United States, which was built on immigrants, Japan is a homogeneous country. That means there isn't a lot of interest in finding out family roots. It's difficult to imagine a case like the Golden State Killer happening, but it could be the very first step to uncovering the truth.
Ooh.
Parang ginagamitan talaga nila. Very
Napaka-advanced but still hindi sila napatunayan yung ganun.
Hindi pa rin nila
So, maraming evidence but still nahirapan sila sa
pag-uncover.
Baka maybe lang talaga he covered his trails well with his mga gamit.
Iniwan niya to tapos para na-mislead niya.
Misdirection.
Ibang mga
This is what you call misdirection, bitches.
Tsaka yun nga, hindi lang kasi hindi nabigyan ng justice yung hindi dahil sa
maraming naman
investigation tsaka sa statute of limitation, pero pa rin kasi meron siyang victims na mga bata. Which is troubling.
Marami kasing identifying mga tawag dito. circumstances kung bakit hindi siya nagkakaroon ng closure yung mga diyang bagay. Sometimes it is because of lack of evidence, but sometimes also we could never deny na sometimes yung the work na ginawa,
Oo.
sometimes it could really affect how these kinds of unsolved
case.
cases is because of some factors na hindi natin alam, hindi tayo mga
Detective.
Oo, but for our tawag dito sa paano natin na nakikita yung mga ganyang bagay. Kasi how come na naka-identify nila yung mga umabot pa sila sa United States dahil lang sa isang buhangin, pero hindi nila na-identify yun.
Yung kung sino talaga yung
With him leaving so many evidences behind.
Parang yata sila na parang tinake for granted nila dahil nakita nilang sobrang daming evidence na akala nila magiging madali lang yung investigation. I think na taken for granted nila yung case na to.
Na nila.
Which is unfortunate sa mga naiwan tsaka yung naiwan ng family.
Yes. Napaka unfortunate nga nung nangyari na yun. Pero like as same din sa mga cases na around the world na mga ganitong bagay. Di natin to hawak. I mean, if fate talaga yung nagdidikta for these kinds of things to happen na
we cannot
masosolve or what, pero like di natin hawak yung mga ganyang bagay. But still we do hope and na siguro naman mabot sa point na maging competent yung
tsaka mahuli yung
I don't know, hindi natin alam, we will never know.
Tsaka na lang, I think namin to just to make you learn and be vigilant on everything. Lock your doors, lock your windows, close it.
How can you lock your doors if the killer's inside? You can never go run if they're already inside. You will never know kung papatayin ka na. Diba?
Sabi pa nga namin sa unang series namin, yung Medical Murders, anyone can kill you.
Yeah.
So just anyone can have the ability to kill, especially even those who you didn't expect, kaya nung Lola Itiri, Lola Itiri. So
yeah.
This was very troubling na
episode.
Parang nagiging na tayo, Ryan Vergara na tayo. Ryan yung sa isang other channel. Kaparehas natin.
Well, always din naman kasi you'll always be skeptic sa mga ganyang bagay So, syempre, tatanungin yung mga bagay-bagay for the sake din na baka hindi lang to napansin or what. In a way na ginagawa lang natin katatawanan, pero like hindi natin alam. We will never know. Pero I'm not saying naman na yung lola talaga, kasi for sure kasama siya sa inimbestigahan.
Siya yung unang investigator.
Always ang iimbestigahan. Wala na-mention ko lang na baka yun iba lang na nandun. Baka yung kapatid niya. Asawa ng kapatid niya. Na nasa ibang bansa na nagtatrabaho sa Formula 1 company.
Malis lang. Tapos gusto lang kunin yung lupa nila. Another theory.
So maraming plausible na mga pwedeng mangyari.
But
if sila hindi nila na yun, like na lang tayo.
Paano na lang tayo? Inano lang natin. Istorya kinikwento lang natin yung
nangyari
sa kanila.
So yun guys, how was the episode? Nagustuhan nyo ba yung episode na to? This one is very Isa sa mga kakaibang case na natin na
Yes.
pag-usapan. Yun. How was the episode, guys? Let us know kung nagustuhan nyo itong episode na to. For any suggestion for the next episode, let us know also, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on our social media, and also follow us on Spotify, Anchor, sa mga podcasting.
Apple Podcast.
Yes. Yeah. This has been the podcast, everybody. We're your host. I'm Marky.
I'm Rick. Dale, dale. Dale, dale.
Untitled Podcast.